Hi there, in this video I'd like to share with you how to create your own fire sound effects from scratch. So I've been creating quite a few of these for a recent project that I'm working on for my recent sound pack. And yeah, so what I'd like to do is actually take you inside of my project here, show you the exact project files, all the sounds that I recorded and how I designed them so that you can go and create your own fire sounds from scratch. So with that said, let's get into it. All right, as usual, here we are inside of Reaper, and this is one of the fireplace or campfire sounds that I created. So let's have a quick listen here. All right, so let's break it down here. There's actually kind of three elements that you need for this fire sound. The first is going to be your noise. The second is going to be like your wood crackling, snapping, creaking sounds. And then the third element that I used was some sort of crinkling sound. All right, so let's start here with the kind of the base of the sound here, and that is the noise element. So I have three different layers here for that, and these are the three. And this is probably the hardest part about creating fire sound effects is getting the noise right, getting the proportions right and the balance right. So I highly recommend using reference sounds to do this because it really helps. So let me show you what I did here to design these. So here's one layer. This is the sub layer. And the way I created that here is actually was just blowing some air into my microphone, right? I imported that into my DAW here. And here you can see what I'm doing to process it. So you can see here I have an EQ. Let's have a listen here. And a bit of compression. Right? You can really hear that file. So if I take everything off here. So that's what I started off with. And if I bring it in, I really wanted to tame it down and just really focus on the low mids and lows. Right after that, I added a bit more dynamic control here and I changed the pitch here. Right, so now we're really just focusing on the lower sub layers. After that, I added a bit of Soothe 2 to really control that low end because it's just really poking out a lot. Then I brought out Uber Loud here just to boost it just a tiny little bit. Right, so that's that sub layer. After that, the next layer here that I did for the noise, for the air, is here. And this is just a noise generator. I put on a filter here, and actually two filters to really control the high end, and then again pitch shifting here. So if I take these off. That's it now together here. Okay, and the last element here, the last layer for the noise is this one down here. Again, this is another take I did where I was kind of just blowing air through the microphone, just really close to the microphone. And here you can see the different processing I did on here as well. Again, you'll see like extreme cutting out frequencies just to really control the sound here. So if I take this off, this is what it sounds like. Right, and that's it. So it's just really using those filters to really control the sound, especially against reference tracks so that you can really just balance it the right way. Right, so once we had these three, after that, it's just a matter of adding wood elements, snappings, crackling, and creaking and stuff like that. So let's have a look and listen at what I did here. So here's my first layer here. And this was actually a wicker basket that I had at my house that was kind of breaking and falling apart. So I got to record it really close up to the microphone and just get these nice creaking sounds. So that's all that this is here. I don't think I did too much editing outside of that. Yeah, a bit of low end control here. After that, for crinkling, you can basically use regular paper. As you can see, that's what I did here. Another one that I used that was really helpful was like bubble wrap. But you can also test out different like materials like bubble wrap, paper, plastics, anything like that can really be used to do this. So. Right, so this is your standard piece of paper, and I was just kind of really slowly crinkling it and moving it really close to the microphone so I can get those snaps in. And here you can see I'm really controlling the mids here because I just want it to be the high end. So if I play it again. Right, it's just really controlling that's the sound there. All right, after that we had down here, this is twigs. right? So I just went out in my backyard. I had a tree that had some small branches that had fallen down. Grabbed those, brought them into my garage. I actually recorded this inside my garage, so you actually get the reverb from the garage into the recording here, which kind of works in this setting. But that's all it is. There's nothing special there. And like I said, at the bottom down here, I have my bubble wrap. Again, I'm just bringing it really close to the microphone and just really slowly moving it and crumpling it so that you get this nice crunchy sound. And all together, this is what you have. Now, just to show you how much the noise portion, the air portion of this sound makes and how much of a difference it makes, I'm just going to turn it off and have a listen here. Right? You just suddenly lose all of the fire out of the sound. So that's how important just controlling that noise is. So like I said, use a reference track to be able to do that. Now, once I had this done and designed, what I found that I could do is I could just like boost certain elements, certain layers, and suddenly I can create different kinds of fire sounds. So here I created some bonfire sounds. Right, different intensities. Basically, I'm adding some distortion, some OTT to really push the air and to really crunch it. And here, I even went as far as doing some like a building burning sound, because I can just add other elements like wood cracking, snapping, wood falling, explosion sounds, glass breaking sound, and then suddenly I have something that sounds like a building is falling apart or burning. So you can see here on my master bus here what I have. Like I said, I have OTT here. I'm going to take off these, and why don't I actually show you exactly what they're doing from scratch here. So this is with nothing on. Right, sounds okay with OTT. Some distortion. Right, so you can see how much of a difference it makes just adding these elements and adding a bit of distortion to really crunch everything. And like I said before, you have your 3-layer elements. You have your air, which I have, here's one of them. You have your crimpling and crumpling. Here I have stuff I was doing inside of a paper bag. I had my microphone inside the bag, and I was crumpling it up from inside the bag and recording that. Again, I have different twig snapping sounds here. Right, and one of the things that made a big difference in these snapping sounds. So for the wood snapping sounds, you can see here, if you record really close to the microphone, you'll have a lot of peaks just because it's very transient heavy. So that's what I did here. But what I put on here is a compressor, and this, I put the threshold all the way down so that it really squashes the sound. And if I play it, right, you get this really harsh and loud popping sounds. They just like punch you in the chest. Like, yeah, so it works really well if you really want to punch it out like that. Just putting on a compressor and squashing the sound can really help. So that's what I did with this layer here. Right, so if you just add a bit of distortion here, you can also see I'm doing some filter movements for some of the sounds just to add some variation and movement. But yeah, this is it. Like adding some compression, boosting it, saturation, distortion, OTT, uber loud, and then just adding at the bottom here. I have some destruction elements, so like wood debris. And here's another one. Right, I actually just dragged and dropped these in. I had them from my library, so. A lot of these are from my sound pack, my melee weapon sound effect pack, or my explosion pack. So if you want to check those out, I'll put a link in the description. But that's where I got these from here. Right, so adding all these creaking, this cracking, these impacts, this wood breaking, it just feels like this old building is really burning and falling apart. All right, so I hope you like that. I hope you like seeing my project files and seeing how I designed everything, all the elements that I used to create my fire sounds and how I process them. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. And if you like creating fire sound effects or you want to know more about it, I created a whole video where I redesigned the flaming sword from the video game Elden Ring. So if you want to see that, I'll have it somewhere here on the screen. And I think that's it for now. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.